This is Radio Free Pro Wrestling, the home of smart and stunning wrestling takes. The liberation starts now.
Well, thank you for joining us this week for Radio Free Professional Wrestling. I am your most stunning host, Stunning Shawn, and I'm alongside my longtime tag team partner, David the Smart Mark. David, you picked a good week to come back on the show because everything in the world of professional wrestling might be flipped upside down in the next 48 to 96 hours. How you doing?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good evening, whatever you. I'm sorry I've been away for 2 weeks. I hope you missed me because I missed you guys. But yeah, it's really, really weird. Certainly the WWE perspective. And there could be a lot of people without a job very soon. Tony might have some pickings.
Well, you know, David, he's talking about doing a semi-soft brand split if the rumors are true that he's getting a second show on a Saturday night for about 2 hours, because apparently somebody from Chicago besides Jake is going to be on live TV sometime soon.
Because why can't we just get along? So if you can't get along, you can have your own show instead.
David, let's go over to the control center and catch you up on the week of professional wrestling news.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
And David, my first story for you should be some good news, especially for you, because I know you're a big fan of this gentleman, as Will Ospreay has come out and said he's officially medically cleared to go ahead for this match this weekend at 1PW, as he'll be taking on Bobby Fish.
Yeah, I mean, that's great news for Will. It's great news for a lot of companies that had him booked, obviously New Japan as well, and quite possibly AEW with the months coming up. Plus the fact he's someone you want to see. So then you don't want the lad to be injured. His style does make him, even though he's totally backed over recent times, but even so, he is prone to injury now. And, I know the lad's still in his peak. He's still got his best years to come, in my opinion, for what it's worth. But it's good because Doncaster crowd is sold out. I think they've sold around 1,700 tickets. And for the show, it looks a good show. It really does look a good show. And I can see if he's fit and can commit to 1PW, he could be the new inaugural second time round world champion.
Well, David, I'm happy for Will because this summer is going to be crazy busy, especially since, in the time you've been away, AEW announced that they're heading to Wembley Stadium for their first ever televised show in London, England.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I'm on the pre-sale. All the doom and gloom merchants on social media obviously don't live in England, because I can assure you that this has gleaned a hell of a lot of excitement in the wrestling world over here. Depending on who you believe, there's 45,000, a lot in the pre-sale raffle, of which I am one of them. I have signed up for it. I will go. I am going to go by hook or by crook. I am not missing that show. I missed SummerSlam 92 thanks to an ice hockey and a commitment of fighting a war in Northern Ireland at the time. So I am not making that same mistake again. I will be at All In bar and force majeure.
And of course, one of the rumored matches for this card coming up in London in August is the fact that it should be Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay 2.
Yeah, two big rumors. And the obvious one is the 6-man that's been much muted of Punk FTR versus the Elite, which obviously would include Kenny. But what they could very easily do in the Elite team is just swap Kenny for Hangman Page, because you've got that natural heat there from the real life heat, and then have that as co-main event with Kenny versus Will as the main event, and I can guarantee that roof is going off. It really, really is for both those matches. It's going off. There is a great hunger for the AEW over here. It could be the start of something good.
You led me right into the second news story of the week, as the Survey Time Warmer is rumored to be giving AEW a second TV show in prime time on Saturday evenings, running from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. And the person that's going to star in that TV show wants CM Punk, as apparently he's making his way back to AEW TV.
Well, it seems bonkers for if he's fit, for him not to use him. He's still under contract. He's sat at home getting a bloody big check. Why wouldn't they use him? I just think it's ridiculous that now AEW are finally going to get that Raw and SmackDown, if you will. But they genuinely have to have a Raw and SmackDown, because I'm not going to work with him, and I'm not going to work with him, and he's not going to work with him, and we're all going to be, we're all going to be back in the playground. Tony needs to get a grip. We've said this before many times on the show between the three of us. He really just needs to get a grip of the roster. I don't know what to say, really. Punk is obviously rumoured to be headlining the new show, debuting in Chicago, which makes sense. But the fact that he has to sit down with Jericho, to have a meeting with Jericho, so they can work things out to see if they can work together. Absolutely ridiculous for professional wrestlers. Absolutely stupid. But we'll wait and see.
David, I'm going to go to my third news story of the week. Something else to cheer you up, since I'm on this mission to cheer you up this week. Guess who just got signed by Impact Wrestling and made a surprise appearance at their Rebellion pay-per-view?
Perfect sense story. Absolutely. But for both parties, to be fair, Kingston's finest needs to come there. He needs to be in the ring. He doesn't need to be. I would love to see him in AEW. I don't think the WWE will push him. They're not great at pushing their British wrestlers, despite the fact he has every single tool in the box to be a major star in any company. But what was disappointing, I watched the his arrival, if you will, in Impact, and there's about 150 people there at the pay-per-view. And that is the only disappointing aspect of this. And that's possibly why I would have preferred him to be an AEW.
Well, David, I'm happy that Nick Aldis has made his way back to Impact Wrestling. I feel like in this current state of AEW, I feel like Mr. Aldis would get lost somehow in all the shuffle between the upper elite wrestlers in that company. And apparently, since this merger between the UFC and WWE, there's a kind of a hard freeze. So there's rumors that Triple H was very high on bringing Nick Aldis into the company. And so I feel like Nick made the best move he could at the moment. And that's to go back to Impact Wrestling, which has been underneath the table becoming a very fine product to watch. And now we'll have to watch it more because the national treasure is there now.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all that. WWE all of a sudden wasn't an option with what's been announced in the last 24 hours. You bang on there, mate. I just don't know whether, he's as good as anything in AEW. Let's face it, he's as good. He can talk, he looks the part, he acts like a world champion, he conducts himself like an old school professional wrestler. He's a modern day Ric Flair in the way he conducts himself. So, televised, there's no issue. But obviously, it's how he's booked. And again, you're correct. At least his Impact, there's some history. He's a former world champion now. And they should put I know they got Josh Alexander, couldn't help having an injury, and they had to do what they had to do at Rebellion. But Steve Macklin is not the man to carry that company forward. Nick Aldis is. And it's a good time.
Well, David, as we're talking about moves in professional wrestling, one team is not moving from their company. As they announced on AEW Rampage, FTR is staying with AEW as they have signed a 4-year contract, and they are saying that they are going to retire after this contract's up. Are you happy with FTR staying in AEW?
To a degree, yeah. I don't think, for the very reasons that we've just listed with Nick Aldis, there's no point going back to the WWE and AEW, the next biggest company. If they do a little bit of work in Ring of Honor, I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see FTR at any point, like any normal, fair-minded wrestling fan. I just fear for them with the fact that the 2 schoolyard bullies are still there, and whether they'll still keep the belt. I know they've got the belts at the moment, but yeah, you know what they're like. Whether they will get their shot, redemption because of the book, we'll wait and see.
Well, David, that has been our control center for this week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Why don't we step into the 76 questions as we debate 6 of the hot topics from this past week in professional wrestling?
It's time for the stunning 6 questions. All the whys and what have they done now. Hopefully, David and Shawn can make sense of it.
And David, my first stunning question to you. While you're away, Triple H went on TV and announced that the WWE is going to have a draft again. They're going to shake things up, and it's going to be starting on SmackDown on April 28th and carry over to the Raw on May 1st. Apparently, Triple H just listened to this podcast because I'm going to SmackDown on May 12th. He could have waited like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Shawn, can you remember a draft in recent memory that's really, really interesting to you? They don't laugh. They don't, history shows us that if they don't mean anything, it's just a gimmick for a 1 night or 2 night show or a 1 week storyline. And then, just seeing on Monday night Top Dollar game, it's just like, it's pathetic. And if ever I needed a reason not to watch this draft, that was my reason.
Well, David, my thing with this whole WWE draft is, yeah, you're right. It's a way to get ratings for like 2 episodes of their TV programming, because the underlying fact that you have 2 higher powers that you got to answer to, one being NBC Universal and the other one being Fox. Let me tell you, Fox, we're going to draft Roman Reigns away from SmackDown and put him exclusively on Raw. David, that's not going to go over well, buddy.
Well, it's not even that. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference, really, when it's the Universal Champion. He's for everyone on the roster. Who are you going to build for him? There's no one. That's another reason I'd have brought Oldest. He went to the Oldest with Roman Reigns. Even if Roman kept the title, it's another one. Him to September and say he's beaten, the 3-time NWA champion. It doesn't matter a blind bit of difference because they don't stick to it. They don't make it mean anything. No, it doesn't hold my interest at all. So.
Okay, David, I'm moving over to our second study question of the week. While you're away, Jeff Hardy made his return to AEW TV last week on their episode of Dynamite. It's been 10 months since we've seen Jeff Hardy near a ring and about 10 months since his last DUI arrest and conviction. How do you feel about Jeff Hardy being back in the company?
I don't think there's a major issue with it, as long as he's clean, as long as he's safe, as long as he's not going to, injure himself or others. The guy deserves to earn a living. He's got a contract. And it will be churlish of AEW. Not since his name. He's a name value. He's a former WWE World Champion. He's a former multi-time tag team champion of every company all around the world. And I'm sticking back with Matt. Get him out of that storyline and let Matt and Jeff work his Hardys and build, say, something with the Brooks or something with, something with FTR. I don't see Hardys working at FTR. You've got some options there for some decent matches.
Dave, I was watching it live and I saw how the crowd reacted to Jeff Hardy and they were happy to see him there making the save. Me, I was watching it, I was a little conflicted because I was feeling like, is it too soon? Maybe it is. Now, granted, for me, my family was a victim of a impaired driver who caused the wreck with me and my mom in it. So this is where I'm coming from. To me, if Jeff Hardy is in a good place, he's healthy, and he can go and have a good run here, I'm perfectly happy with it. I would have been happy not seeing Jeff Hardy ever wrestle again, along he could have a good life outside of wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, all of that makes sense. Obviously, your personal feelings are bound to come into everything like this because it's an emotive subject, understandably emotive subject for you personally. So there's going to be some sort of decision making for you personally on what he wants it. I get that, and I get that totally. But as I say, my caveat is he's got to be clean. He's had so many chances and he's got to be clean. He's still, from purely the pro wrestling perspective, he's a name value, and he's got the ability still in the red, but he's got to be clean. 100% clean, and if he's not, then Tony needs to get rid.
I'm just hoping that Tony has told him that, hey, this is your last chance. Make sure you make it a good opportunity for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, well, we're talking about AEW and who they're bringing back into the company. What do you feel about this soft brand split? Because they're wanting to bring CM Punk back into the fold here. And the rumors are going around that the Elite still don't want to play in the same sandbox as them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right decision for the wrong reason. Rampage is a load of doctor. We both know that. Dynamite can be a good show when they build it right, work it right. So if you get a show equal to Dynamite for 2 hours on a Saturday, great. Put CM Punk on it. I'm a big, well documented on this show that I love CM Punk. often always will do. But it's for the wrong reasons. It's so Tony can bring CM Punk back, but he doesn't have to interplay with the schoolyard. Even Jericho's not. One of the things Jericho's many things. He's not stupid. And a feud between Punk and Jericho would draw money, would draw him, would bring him back into the limelight. But he might, all this, we'd kind of sit down and chat. It's progress. You get over it, you move on. You don't have to like each other. At the end of the day, rights and wrongs are everything. Punk was wrong in a lot of what he did in that press conference. And the Elite were wrong to react the way they did. And the Elite, through their schoolboy tits, the Elite got on the Punk skin and made him buy it. And Punk was guilty of buying it. He couldn't let it go. And there's so many wrong. Well, ultimately, the person was in the wrong every single time, every single way that this is Tony. And this is it's the right show for the wrong reason.
To me, I feel like pro wrestling is the only business that this could possibly ever happen in, because I was thinking about all the years I've spent in customer service and working in retail and stuff. And if we had an employee kind of like CM Punk, where he's highly valuable, but he's kind of tossed it to the environment of the workplace, we probably would bring him back. But in pro wrestling, I feel like this is the exception to the rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, David, I'm going to go to our next stunning question here. How do you feel about NXT and WWE turning Braun Breaker heel? If you haven't seen it in the last 2 weeks on NXT TV, 2 weeks ago, he came down to the ring to acknowledge Carmelo Hayes and congratulate him. And Carmelo was putting him over, and he literally speared the hell out of Carmelo Hayes. Then we got the answer to why he did it. He said, hey, I don't care about the title. I don't care about you stupid fans. Generic heel 101. So, David, how has it started for you?
Yeah, you pretty much summed it up. You not let me, with a lot of meat there, it was a generic heel promo with a too wide run line. It's just a pity that they did. I like the heel turn. I think he needed it. I think it's a very good idea. Carmelo instantly any doubt, Carmelo instantly gets over. But unfortunately, the wide run line turned out to be generic heel, as you said, generic heel 101. Only they could have come up with something a little bit more interesting. Mention his family. Look at my uncle. I want to be like my uncle. He's an arsehole. I want to be, he was a huge success when he didn't give a crap about the balance, about the business, about anything, just himself. That's where they got more success. That's what I'm going to be from now on.
Yeah, I can saw that. Also, he's engaged to Cora Jade. And I was talking to Randy 2 weeks ago, going hey, she's a better person on the mic. Having her come down there and her being the reason he goes heel and turns on everybody is because, Cora told me you guys couldn't be trusted, and she was right. Once I lost the title, look, you guys started booing me. She's right. So, you know what? F you. I get the one person I care about with me, so I don't need nobody else.
Yeah. But they didn't do that NXT.
Okay, David, I'm going to move over to our fifth Sunday question of the week. And while you're gone, the WWE has changed a event coming up for one of their premium live events, as it's no longer King and Queen of the Ring. It's Night of Champions live from Saudi Arabia. David, how do you feel about this?
Okay, it's a Saudi show. They normally die. And why? A Saudi show where we have King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia? No, sir, we don't have that here in Saudi Arabia. We want to chop the heads off homosexuals and make women wear masks and be subservient. No, I mean, I can only add predictable stuff here, mate. It's, they're doing it for the money. It's in a country where, human rights are a huge issue. We could talk about it all day. I don't want to. It's unfortunate that they've done it, and I really wish they had, but they've obviously been told to.
Yeah, I really got a feeling that the powers that be in Saudi Arabia looked at the idea and thought that maybe one or two many women matches for that show. So they're like, hey, can we change this? Because we're paying for this show. We would love to have something different.
Yeah, I mean, you only have to look at the way the ladies that do wrestle over there change their attire. They actually have wrestling attire on rather than, let me show you what I've got attire. But it's well documented, and unfortunately, it's just another sad piece to the puzzle.
It's going to be interesting since Endeavor has merged in with WWE if this relationship with the Saudis continue. As me and Ray were talking about, the contract runs through 2028. I wonder if Endeavor might decide down the road, is there a way we can get out of this contract? Is there somehow we can just cut this short and not have to do this?
You guarantee they're looking at it and learn of technical consideration, sure. You can guarantee that.
Okay, David, this is our sixth and final stunning question of the week, as we're previewing one of the biggest rivalries in British professional wrestling right now, as this feud has lasted basically 2 years. If you go back to the pandemic era of Progress Wrestling, and you saw when the Lord Spike Bay came to Cara asking for a match, and Cara just snickered at him and go like, "Here's Spectre Bay." He didn't even say anything. He just walked away. And that insult has led to the best feud in British wrestling. Progress is having their first ever cage match. It's Cara Noir versus Lord Spectre Bay for the Progress World title. David, how excited are you for this match?
Yeah, I want to say it. Definitely want to say it. It's, as you say, 2 years in the making. They've built it well. There's been some really good moments along the way, particularly the promos. Promos have been absolutely Spike's promos have been absolutely wonderful. The only unfortunate side to it is when storylines clash with Cara appearing out of the company, and it made for a little bit of ambiguity, but that's not necessarily Progress's fault. Head says Cara has to win and take the belt back. My heart wants it to stay on Spike, because I just love Spike. He's a Brit. He's one of the best heels I've ever seen, just because he is that damn good. And now he's taken what used to be the Smoking Aces and added them to his repertoire and turned them into something a little bit more prominent. I'm really, really happy.
David, this has been like the best storytelling I have seen in professional wrestling and forever. And I'm with you. Remember like a year ago when we were talking about their Who Talks First match, and I was saying like, hey, I'm going into this match being Carl's going to beat the hell out of Spike. And I was shocked like a lot of people when Spike just won the match and he began his reign of terror in Progress Wrestling.
I mean, I love Spike, mate. I really, really do. He is the perfect slimy heel. He's everything, the antithesis of everything that's evil in the UK today, and that he plays on his upbringing of being an actual genuinely university graduate, of having a privileged upbringing. His family is well off, but he wanted to be a professional wrestler. Perfect heel territory. His family probably is conservative over here, going into politics, but they use that. And Spike never actually says that he's conservative, but it's just left out there to assume, which is not popular here in the UK at the moment. It's just very well done. It's been very well played out. And yeah, at some point, Cara has to beat him to bring an end to this storyline. I just don't want it to. I just want Spike to carry on winning, because I just think he's one of the best heels I've ever had the fortune to see in my career watching professional wrestling. But don't get me wrong, Cara is a brilliant, brilliant performer. And will go on to continue to be. But we'll see. We'll see how they work it. There's bound to be some shenanigans.
Exactly. I can see a lot of things happening inside the steel cage coming up this weekend. Now, if you haven't seen the previous chapter of Progress Wrestling, they had a match where Tom Dawkins had to beat Spike to bring Cara back into the company. And this match was fun because Spike came out dressed just like Cara Noir with all the music and the drapings to it. And I was just like, oh, this is one step too far. I felt like he was Icarus going to the sun here. And during the match, Tom basically wipes the makeup onto his face from Spike and becomes Cara, and Spike loses to set this match up. It was just a masterpiece of work here.
Yeah, very cleverly booked, very well booked. As I say, can't wait to see it, and we'll see where we go. I hope they drag it out a bit longer. You mentioned Progress running over All In weekend. They could, hopefully they could have another chapter with these two guys, because that would help them. That would help them sell maybe a bigger venue.
Exactly. I wish they could hold this match off to like August, because I feel like this match on that weekend would be freaking good. And my question next week for you guys is probably going to be, who in the world in Progress do you have either one of these guys face as champion after they beat each other?
They could bring in someone, but Dan Maloney is the obvious one.
We'll see about that next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. David, before we go, what is coming up on your world famous Saturday morning sports show?
Well, this weekend we're previewing the two FA Cup finals. Locally, it's a huge day for Peterborough United in a promotion battle at home to Ipswich Town, one of the biggest games in League One of the season. That's sold out at London Road already. We'll be looking at the Premiership. We'll be looking at, off the top of my head, because I've only just started my note for the show, we will be looking at the future of Chelsea, actually, after being eliminated from the Champions League last night. And tonight, Manchester City play Bayern Munich in what should be an absolute cracker. So lots of football, because we're coming to the crux of the English football season. Also a little bit of cricket with the Ashes team. The Australia have named their Ashes team. Ashes summers here in the UK are always a lot of fun. I will educate you on that as the summer goes on, my friend.
Okay. And for me, if you haven't listened to the debut episode of Wrestleology, it's your quick 30-minute trip for the week that was professional wrestling for you wrestling fans who cannot watch everything that's on TV now. Check that out at Wrestleology. You can find it on any major podcast network. Go over to www.radiofreepw.com for all your favorite stuff from Radio Free Professional Wrestling. And David, ladies and gentlemen, until I see you next week on this lovely show, have a stunning week. And Jake, get well soon.
Get well soon, Jake.
This is Sergeant Arms of Christina on behalf of the guys. Thanks for listening to today's show. Please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating and a review. Until next time, the liberation continues.